I'm assuming everybody's up to speed with what happened in Paddington because everybody in the whole world went to see Paddington, didn't they? So this time Paddington wants to buy a present for his great aunt Lucy's birthday, and he needs a present that is really something special. He goes into Miss Gruber's shop and he's looking around things he can afford, and what he finds is a pop-up book of London. And this looks like a perfect.
You'll remember this is Jim Broadbent's shop from the first one.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yes, so Jim Broadbent, exactly. And he finds a pop-up book, which is a pop-up book of London. He thinks this will be a perfect present because Aunt Lucy never got to come here, partly because she was raising Paddington. And wouldn't this be a lovely way of her being able to sort of see around London? However, it is a very valuable book and it's going to cost a lot of money to buy. So Paddington says, OK, I'll get some jobs. So cue for Paddington being not great at some jobs. Firstly, a sequence in a barber shop in which there is a sequence involving an overhead fan and some electronic clippers. You can fill in the blanks. And then he decides that he'll become a window cleaner. And there's lots of when I'm cleaning windows fun, all of which is good because the Paddington movies have got really sort of good slapstick in them. However, the book then gets stolen and suspicion falls upon Paddington, who, and this isn't a plot spoiler because it's in the trailer, and a lot of the posters have got Paddington wearing what's now considered to be the prison gear, the blue and white stripe, or the pink and white stripe, as it actually turns out, is in the slammer along with people like Brendan Gleeson's Knuckles McGinty for a crime he clearly hasn't committed.
We think the thief you saw is part of a criminal gang, using the pop-up book as a treasure map.
Well, it's a theory. Have you found out who they are?
Not yet, dearie.
Maybe I should take a look.
I'm sorry, this is a private conversation.
Oh, it's all right, Mr. Brown. This is my friend, Knuckles.
Go here.
And this is Phibbs.
G'day.
Spoon.
Hello.
Jimmy the Snitch.
All right.
T-Bone.
Watch out.
The Professor.
Oh.
Squeaky Pete.
Hello.
Double Bass Bob.
Hello.
Farmer Jack.
Okay.
Mad Dog. Johnny Cashpoint.
Ka-ching.
Sir Geoffrey Wilcott.
I hope I can rely on your vote.
And Charlie Rumble.
It's so wonderful to meet you all. I must say it's a great relief to know that Paddington's already made such sweet friends.
Would you excuse us a moment? What are you doing?
Talking to the nice men.
Nice men? Mary, we can't trust these people. I mean, look at them. Talk about a rogues gallery. Hideous. And as for that bearded baboon in the middle, he's hardly got 2 brain cells to rub together.
We can still hear you, Mr. Brown. Oh, yeah. That was the light you turned off. The microphone is on the other side. It's got microphone written on it.
That's my favourite scene in the film. It's a great scene.
How long ago did you see it now?
About 3 weeks ago.
Okay, fine. And is it? Would you go back?
I would go back and see it very, very happily because there are so many scenes that are beautifully constructed, exactly like that one, which is a very visual gag when each convict appears in one particular window. It's very funny.
So I think the first thing to say, having listened to that clip, is once again, isn't it extraordinary just how appropriate Ben Whishaw's voice is for Paddington, and isn't it astonishing that wasn't always the case, that when the first Paddington was being made, Colin Firth was the voice until the very last moment. Because when you hear Ben Whishaw voicing that character, and it's weird to say voicing that character, because one of the things about the Paddington movies, both of them, is that the CG is done so well, that the physical and the digital knit together so well, that you don't actually think of Paddington as a CG creation. I mean, it wasn't until after I came out of the film that I thought, oh, wasn't the digital stuff done well? I didn't think it whilst I was doing the thing because I just thought it's fine. It's a talking bear. I know him. That's absolutely fine. And I do think Ben Wishaw's voice is perfect. There's something about the way in which he slightly emphasises his consonants, his T's and D's. It sounds, there's slightly childish, but also kind of, wisdom beyond there is something about that voice. It's lyrical and lilting. And it has just the right amount. It's exactly the right voice for a bear whose primary weapon would be a hard stare. So I think that's a brilliant piece of casting. Second thing is, in terms of brilliant casting, take a bow, Hugh Grant. We were...
And we don't say that very often.
Well, funnily enough, we did in Florence Foster Jenkins. And in Florence Foster Jenkins, Hugh Grant, I said at the time, I thought it was a career best role for him. I thought he was brilliant. And he played a character who was a sort of wannabe Shakespearean actor who just wasn't as good as he thought he was. And now essentially become somebody whose career was looking after Florence Foster Jenkins. In the case of this, he plays Phoenix Buchanan, who is a wannabe actor who's nothing like as good as he thinks he is, whose career has been reduced to advertising dog food and opening steam fairs. And Hugh Grant is really good and really funny. There are few people who play an annoying bad actor quite. And I that sounds like a, but I genuinely mean it as a compliment. His comic timing is brilliant. The way in which he gets inside that character of Phoenix Beacon, inside the vanity, inside the strange, prissiness, inside the conniving sense of this character who's just a total lovey and who, keeps all his trophies and wigs and everything around him because he's so obsessed with his own career. It's a really good comic performance, and it's possible within something like Paddington, in which it's family film, playing to the kids, slapstick, all that sort of stuff, to forget just how difficult it is to pull off that kind of performance. I think Hugh Grant was. Didn't you think he was really funny?
Yes, he is very good. I mean, I thought Brendan Gleeson was.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson
was wonderful, but Hugh
as
Grant,
Knuckles McGinty.
Yeah, and Hugh Grant is exactly as you say. I hadn't put it together like that, but no one is better than being an annoying actor
than Hugh Grant. And it's funny because it's like he's got a second or third wind suddenly. It's like he's arrived at the point in his career, because we had interviewed him a few years ago in which he was still sort of nominally doing those kind of slightly awkward romantic leads. And Florence Foster Jenkins, I think, was the point at which you suddenly remembered how funny he is in Four Weddings, how much he has got really good comic chops. And in the case of this, I thought that was the perfect bit of casting. Of course, we get Mr. Curry back, the man that we're not allowed to refer to as the mean-spirited busybody who has given himself a.
We can refer to him like that. I know what you're telling me not to say, so I won't say.
So you won't say it out loud. But he's back, and he's as mean-spirited and small-minded and as bigoted as he always was before. And the whole thing sort of romps by in this lovely, joyous. I mean, firstly, it's very difficult to follow Paddington because Paddington was such a surprise to everybody how good it was. And I have to confess that I had heard from people, they said, "Oh, Paddington 2 is, it does it's every bit as funny." And I thought, yeah, it's not going to be, is it? And I was really, I was delighted by it. I laughed and I was moved, and the action sequences are actiony, and the danger bits are quite dangerous. And, lovely moments like, Sally Hawkins when Sally Potter was in it because she just finished working with Toby Jones. It's the little asides. It's the fully rounded ensemble cast. Sanjeev, of course, makes a wonderful appearance.
I think a lot of the film revolves
around Sanjeev. Yes, it does. But there's a kind of It's a Wonderful Life quality to it, because the story is, the little things that somebody does that are decent make the world a more decent place. And if you take one decent person out of an equation, what does it leave behind? And there was definitely, and this must be deliberate, there was definitely, I thought, in one of the sequences, a nod toward It's a Wonderful Life, which is essentially that same story of just the decency of one person, or in this particular case, one bear, can make a difference to a whole neighbourhood.
And it is like a therapy, the film, because I did think this isn't, they can't make it as joyful as the first one. We'll be saying, well, it's okay, but it's not a patch on the first one. And actually it is a patch on the first one, and it is, and you will come out of it feeling better than you went in.
Yeah.
You'll have a little skip in your step, and your hat will be at a jaunty angle, and you'll go, you know what? The world is a better place.
Yeah.
Having seen that film.
It works for it. And incidentally, stay till the end, because when I watched it, when the credits started, a whole load of people got up and walked out.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Wrongety wrong.
Wrongety wrong.